Hi guys, good day and welcome to my knitting podcast. My name is Mandy and I am a 39-year-old woman from southeastern Michigan who loves to knit and crochet. And this is my podcast where I talk about all of the crafty endeavors that I get onto throughout the week. This is basically a space that I come to share my finished objects, my works in progress, and any other interesting yarny things that I stumble upon throughout the week. So I have quite a bit to share this weekend. I am 39 years old and I live in southeastern Michigan with my husband and my 2 kiddos, and I have been knitting and crocheting for quite a while now. So my favorite thing to both knit and crochet are garments, and I just love all of the sweater patterns. Well, sweater and cardigan. So if that sounds interesting to you, please stick around. I would love if you did. So first of all, I have quite a bit to share with you this week. Everything's gonna be kind of weird because I am filming on a Saturday as opposed to a Sunday, and I'll get into why a little bit later. But first off, let's talk about admin. So for admin, for this podcast, I give away a pattern prize from Ravelry or another platform. I say another platform, kind of confused because it's never come up yet, but if you win the pattern giveaway and Ravelry is not accessible to you, please still reach out and I'm sure we can find another platform. I know that there are a couple of other ones out there. So with all of that said, every podcast I give away a pattern prize, and in order to win the pattern prize, all you have to do is leave a comment down below, and I will basically on the Sunday of every week we're gonna go with Sunday morning Eastern. So Sunday morning Eastern, just comment before then, and I will use random comment picker to pick a random comment, and then I will put your name in next week's podcast and you will reach out to me and I will gift you a pattern of your choice up to $15. And the only other rule besides the $15 is just that you can't win more than once a month. So just trying to make it fair for everybody so that everybody has a chance. Anyway, with all of that boring terms stuff said, here is where I'm going to draw for this last week's pattern prize. So I'm going to leave a blank spot right here. Okay, if that was you, please get in touch with me. I won't know who it is until tomorrow because even though I'm filming on Saturday, I'm not going to draw until tomorrow. Okay, so if that was you, like I just said, reach out to me either on Ravelry or Instagram as Mandy Von Knits and let me know what pattern that you want and I will be sure to gift it out to you. Okay, so this week is just crazy and it's flown by, and like all of October is going to be that way. So chances are I will more than likely be filming on Saturdays for at least a couple of weeks this month. Anyways, so first I'm going to talk about the sweater that I am wearing, or well, I guess it's more of a top. This is the Bright Access Tee, and this is a pattern by Stephanie Lotven. Now, I know that you can get this pattern as a single through Ravelry. I am almost positive of it, even though I don't have it. I actually have her book, and it's called Knit Happy with Self-Striping Yarn. And this is one of the patterns in there. And that is probably one of my most favorite books that I have. So throughout the years, and you guys have to let me know if this is you as well. Throughout the years, I've searched out knitting and crochet books, and I ended up with so many of them, and I have a whole bookshelf full of them. So I had to kind of cull them down because when I have tons of books, I don't look through them. It's too overwhelming. So I culled them down, I donated them, I got rid of them, and I kept like 5 or 6 books that I really wanted. Like, these books spoke to my heart, they made me super happy. One of them was Knit Happy with Self-Striping Yarn by Stephanie Lotven. If you have not seen that book, I definitely recommend you check it out. I recommend it to everybody, especially if you like self-striping yarn. Anyways, one of the patterns is this pattern. It's the Bright Access Tee. And I actually did this on my knitting machine. So I have a Silver Reed SK 280, or is it 480? I always get those numbers transposed, but it's one of them. And it is a knitting machine that knits with fingering weight yarn. So I decided to take the Bright Access Tee pattern and basically rework it a little bit to where I could make it on a knitting machine, and this was the result. I'm very happy with it, and I loved making it. I fell in love with this tee when I saw it, I believe, on the We Share Needles podcast. Both Kristen and Maddie wore it, and it was so pretty on both of them, and everything about this tee is just so happy for me. I am a big fan of self-striping yarn, so if you are too, I recommend the book. I don't know how many times I can say that, but definitely check it out. In fact, I will be working there's the sock arm sweater, and I believe there's the sock arm cardigan, something like that. So I'm going to be working one of those as the base for my Zelda socks sweater or cardigan. I haven't decided which one I'm going to make. I'm getting ahead of myself. But once I get these sweaters I'm working on off my needles, I am casting that sock sweater on. Okay, if you have no clue what I'm talking about, have no fear. If you stick around, you'll figure it out in about a couple weeks whenever I cast it on. Or you can go back to a couple of episodes ago where I was talking about it. It's been one of my one of the sweaters that I had as like a main goal for this year, because so everybody who's been here a while knows that at the beginning of this year I decided, hey, I'm going to set some knitting resolutions, because we all need knitting resolutions. We don't all need knitting resolutions. I don't know why I did it, but I just decided, hey, I want to grow this year as a knitter, and so I decided I wanted to get better at color work and get better at brioche. Well, at least I got 1 out of 2 of those. So I've been focusing a whole bunch on color work, and with the color work, I decided I wanted to make the Voyage tee, or the Voyage cardigan, which I've been working on, and I wanted to take some Zelda socks. Do you guys, kids of the 80s, children of the 90s, do you guys remember The Legend of Zelda? I mean, it hasn't gone anywhere. They just released a game. But if you guys know The Legend of Zelda, they have socks out, and I'm putting up a picture here. I am going to take these socks and make them as a sleeve, 2 sleeves. I showed the picture. You guys know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to take them and make them as a sleeve to a sweater or a cardigan. I haven't decided yet. With all of that said, Knit Happy with Self-Striping Yarn is a great book. Okay, so I talked about my Bright Access Tee. I've been knitting hats so much this week, and it's kind of weird. So I showed you, I think, this one last week. Did I show you this one? This is the quick ombre hat. Quick and easy ombre hat. I believe that's the pattern. And I can't remember if I showed you the blue one or the green one. because, so, let me think. My head is going like 50 miles an hour. It's gonna be one of those podcasts because I swear I'm like so excited about everything I'm knitting that it is what it is. So this is the quick and easy ombre hat, and I have been making a whole bunch of hats for my son. He is going on a class trip, and they're trying to fundraise to earn money towards the class trip. And I said that I would make some hats that they could sell. Now, these hats right here are knit with Scheepjes Scrumptious. And that is a 50% polyester, recycled polyester, and 50% acrylic. And it is a DK weight yarn. So these are pretty good sized hats, and my cast on stitches were different from the pattern because the pattern uses, I believe, Aran weight yarn. So I modified the cast on stitches, which is fine because it's super easy. The chart in the pattern is actually really nice because there are 3 different charts. And there's a longer one where the color fade is slower for the bigger hats. And then there's a smaller one and a medium one for the smaller hats and for the medium-sized hats. So no matter what cast on size you use, you can pick the stitch chart that you use, and it all works out really well. So I definitely recommend this hat pattern on Ravelry. It is free, which is another huge bonus, and I've made them a ton. Lots and lots. I think I knit these hats first when I first started knitting. I would say not when I first started knitting, when I started getting better at knitting and could do something like this. So I'm gonna say probably when my daughter was around 2 or 3. I would make her these in like pink and dark pink, and she loved it. And they kept those hats for a very long time. So both my daughter and my son did. Okay, so those were the quick and easy ombre hats. And I've got another hat here. And this is, I'm trying to think of the name. I think this is called the Hey There hat. And this is big. So I'm gonna put it on my head. And it's not that big. It's very soft. So this is the Hey There hat, and it is knit with Jody long and the yarn is called Glam Haze. So you can see the texture, and then there's plain stockinette, and it's just a very simple hat. So this Glam Haze, I have a bunch of different colors of, and I don't know if you can tell, but there's some sparkly, like a metallic thread running through it. And the hat is super soft. But one thing that bothered me while knitting this was that the little pieces of fluff would come off, which was kind of starting to bother my eye. But it wasn't that bad. I've definitely had worse. So if that is something that would cause you copious amounts of grief, I would steer clear of this. But if it's not really a big deal, like for me, then it's not really a big deal. And I haven't had any other issues. Like once I stopped, I think I would go with once I stopped doing the ribbing or the purl stitches, because we've got some seed stitch up here as well. So once I stopped doing that and I was just doing plain stockinette, it would stop like pulling off as much. I think that maybe there's there's just a certain way that I do pearls. I am a continental knitter, so maybe that's it. But anyways, it's a very soft hat and I love it. And my daughter really liked this color. She was excited about this particular hat color. And I'll show you why in a second as soon as I show you the last hat I finished, because I finished one more and I did this last night. So you're gonna see how and basically you're going to see how I finished so many hats, and the answer is because I haven't really worked on sweaters. So, well, that's not completely true. You'll see. So this is the last hat that I made. This is the Spiral Slouch Beanie by, I think, Benjamin Matthews. So first off, this is also knit in scrumptious yarn, and I modified this pattern a little bit. So the original pattern, and you're seeing the pictures of the pattern, the original pattern had a very big slouch, and I didn't want it to be so slouchy. And I was knitting this last night and I kept looking at that like coral color and I kept saying, you know, I don't like that coral color and it's bothering me. And then I started thinking that coral color reminds me of the brain from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon. And then I saw the purple and the coral color together and I'm like, okay, now I can never unsee it. Because if you used to watch the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle cartoon, it really does look like Krang. So, and then I got really sad, so I was done knitting this, basically. But as long as I don't tell my daughter that, we'll be okay. So, I did like the pattern. I think that for this particular pattern, I will be using colors that are closer together because I don't know. I think that this type of pattern would just lend itself more to that, right? To where the colors almost fade together rather than being so blatant. But maybe it's just the pink I don't like. I told you guys I modified this. So the original pattern has one of these, two of these, and a third one. And then it goes into the decreases. The purple part, this garter stitch, are the decreases. So picture basically another pink part and then the purple part, which I think would be way too big. At least, yeah, I mean, that's a pretty big hat as it is. So, now, I don't know if you can really tell how the texture looks. Okay, well, I put up a picture. It's spiraling, which I think is really cool. I did kind of regret picking this one because there were so many pearls, and it's not that I mind doing purling, it's that I mind when we're swapping back and forth so much, especially when it's not twisted ribbing. I actually like doing twisted ribbing, like twisted knits and pearls, more than I like regular knits and pearls and ribbing. I think that it looks neater. And part of me wonders what would have happened if I would have knit these twisted on purpose. It would have definitely tightened up the hat some. I'm never gonna get over this looking like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles brain now. But it's okay. My daughter will like it. She is 9 years old. She has no clue what the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were, and she would not really care anyways. She is much too into like Gabby's dollhouse and stuff like that. So, okay, I cast on one more hat, and I was having fun with this hat, and then I started once again getting disheartened, and I'm going to tell you guys why. So you've probably seen this pattern before. This is called, and I've actually knit this before, so if you're a longtime follower of the podcast, you've seen me work this pattern. It is called the LotusFlowerBeanie, I believe. And I've put up some pictures of what the pattern should look like. And so I used this yarn again, the Jody long Glam Haze, and I don't know what I was thinking. Have you guys grabbed yarn before? Like say this fuzzy stuff, and you're like, I want to knit the most detailed textured hat ever, and I'm going to pick this yarn that totally convolutes the whole thing, and then I'm going to be very confused when my stitches don't show up. Anyways, so this is what I've got. Well, I guess it kind of shows up. You can see it much better on camera than you can here. And it's not, I guess, that it doesn't show up. It's just that it's fuzzy and not as clear as I would like it to be. So I'm going to continue on making the hat, but I think for this yarn, I am going to be sticking with just plain stockinette, because everything else is going to be more trouble than it's worth. Because, I mean, does that make sense? It's just more trouble than it's worth. It's not as clear as the stitches could be, even though I do love it. It just makes me want to like take some scissors and kind of make the fuzzies go away from the flower parts of the stitch. This was a very popular pattern, like on Instagram, the LotusFlowerBeanie, and I really do like doing the star stitches. I still think that the way that they're worked is super cool. The only problem, once again, is with this yarn, it's super hard to make the stitches with all of the fluff, and the fluff kind of masking where your needle should go. But I mean, one day I'll learn. But definitely, I will definitely be only doing stockinette stitch hats with that. I have quite a bit of it, so you will be seeing more just plain stockinette hats. I can't use my hat knitting machine. At least, no. I mean, that's gonna catch everywhere. I was trying to think of how to get some plain stockinette hats with that, but I'm just gonna have to knit it. You know, ribbing might look good in this too. But still, it's probably more trouble than it's worth. I do love this color. It's so pretty. And this yarn is so soft. It would make like a really good, well, let me qualify that. It would make a really good sweater if I wore something underneath it, because like something like a long turtleneck, because I'm really scared that if I wore this next to skin, it would make me itch. But maybe not. I mean, it doesn't seem itchy, but it feels like it should be. Oh well. So next, week you will see this, and probably the only one of these, at least with this yarn. I don't see the problem with this pattern in specifically the lotus flower hat is that it takes bulky yarn, and I really don't have a lot of bulky yarn. This is like it, except for the couple of colorways I have in order to make the easy. No, it's not the easy. It's the friend shrug, I think. I've put some pictures up. I really want to make that pattern, and I keep saying I'm going to make that pattern, but I keep getting distracted. There are so many amazing patterns that come out every week. Last week was a huge, I ran across 3 patterns last week that came out that I am obsessed with. Well, 2, 3, enough of them. I'll show you. I've got some patterns to show you. But anyways, I think that this will come out well enough, and then I will just use plain stockinette for the rest of them. Ooh. Okay, so now enough about hats, because I'm going to show you the sweaters that I'm working on. I am working on 3 sweaters at this time, which is weird for me because generally I'm a monogamous knitter, and all of a sudden I've just decided that I'm not anymore, and I am going to work on 3 sweaters at once while throwing hats in. So here's the one that I've worked on the least, and honestly I'm thinking that I've knit probably 2 or 3 rows on this sweater. So if you saw it last week, I'm sorry. One of the downsides to having to film on Saturday is that Saturday night is a big knitting night for me, and generally on Saturday nights I knit on this sweater. So that is the downside to it. But this is the Flax by Tin Can Knits, and I'm very happy with how it's turning out. This is the Stormy Skies colorway, and the yarn is by Mousewitch yarn, and it is a gradient mini skein set, and I am using it to make the Flax by Tin Can Knits, and this is the Flax sock. So this is fingering weight yarn, and pretty soon here, and probably after I put in the next color, which I believe is going to be either the 6th or the 7th. So pretty soon here after I put in that color, I'm going to start having to work the arms. Because especially since it's gradient, I want to make sure that I'm fading them correctly as I go. And I've kind of been lazy and not done that, as you can see. Which I guess in a way is really good, because if you watched last week, you know that I've knit from like here to here twice. The first time I took it out because I didn't like the way that I was fading. I wasn't doing anything special, and I wanted it to be more of a gradual fade. So I pulled it back out, and I'm definitely happy with the fact that I did. I didn't regret pulling it out at all, but it did have to happen. So now this yarn is going to get pretty dark here, and it's going to start getting really dark very quickly. Let me see. We've got this color coming. So we're going from blues, and then we're gonna get dark blue, And pretty soon we're gonna get to like, let me see, where's the darkest? This isn't the darkest. Ooh, this is almost like a bluey black. My husband wound that one. He was helping me, so if he helps me, I take what I can get, but he wound these too. I did get them wound though, which is good, so. Oh, that's so pretty. That's coming out lighter than it actually is. It's actually very dark. But my hope is that, now my son is pretty short, so I'm thinking I'm going to need to hold this up to him and measure to see how long I need to make it, so I can figure out how long I need each color transition to be. So I will be doing that soon. It hasn't really been a priority of mine until I get to the next, because there's 2 6-packs of minis and I'm not on the second pack yet. So I figured I would wait to measure him until I got to that second pack. But I've been very pleased with how that's coming along. And the tin can knits pattern, the Flax, it has been such a staple in my knitting career. Now, if you come to my house, please don't come to my house, but if you come to my house and you walk in the door, on the wall, there's this giant canvas picture of my son and my daughter when she was 2 and he was 6, and they're both wearing Flaxes that I made them from, I think it was Mandala from Lion Brand. I love that yarn, and I super loved it whenever they were really little and they were super hard on their clothes. So I knit them both Flaxes that year for Christmas, and we had their pictures professionally taken, and they're also wearing these like long stocking hats, and it's super cute. So I was very happy, and like I said, the Flax has been a definite staple in our lives. That will definitely not be the last Flax that I make. In fact, I am going to be making myself one with a gradient, and I can't remember what it's called. Uh-oh. Nope, I'm not even going to try to remember, but it's the same type of idea as my son's, except it's purple to, I don't know. It's very pretty. You guys will see it soon enough, I promise. Oh boy. The reach. Okay. Now, this has been, and I'm winding this up so I don't make a mess. This has been the yarn sweater, I tried to save that sentence because I had no clue where I was going. Okay, there's no saving it. This has been the sweater that I've spent the second most amount of time on. Second least, second most. The in-between sweater. So this is the Stripy Unicorn. This is a pattern by Locatelli. And if you are interested to hear about all of the chaos that I had trying to figure out the increases on this sweater, please skip or go back a couple of episodes, because I had quite a fiasco trying to figure this sweater out. This is the probably third time I've done this. This was the first time, and I cast this on, and it's still on the needles. You'll notice I didn't want to take it off until I was sure that I had something that made sense, because the increases are definitely something on this one. So just in case you guys ever want to knit this, make sure you go through the Ravelry project pages and look at some of the notes. There are people who have knit this, who have charted out the increases, have kind of drawn it out to where you can see how the increases work on the yoke. And it definitely helped me. And I actually drew everything out myself and charted all of the increases. But with that being said, this is my stripy unicorn, and I am loving it. But unfortunately for me, it is on short needles again, because that's how I roll. You'd think I was new at this, but okay. That is, it's actually getting long. Like I'm to the point where I could probably bind off, maybe. No, not bind off. Not bind off. Start the ribbing. But I'm thinking I'm going to do another probably inch down here and then put the ribbing in, because I don't want this one to be that short. And now I haven't shown you guys this because I keep forgetting to mention it, but so this line of stitch markers, these yellow ones right there, are where I'm increasing. But these stitch markers right here are all random colors. And you're like, Mandy, why are you doing that? That's weird. Well, I have a reason. An actual, what I think of as a good reason. So here we are. This is a good example, theoretically. So now I'm using an advent for this, and I'm using them in somewhat random order. We're kind of going from lightest to darkest. But if you take a look at this skein, I mean, where does it fit, Mandy? How do you know? Well, I'm gonna tell you how I know. So I have this little yellow stitch marker right here in the line of all of the random color ones. And I look on this yarn ball and hey, this is yellow. So that's where I started using that color. So whenever I go to the sleeves over here, I know what color comes next. That makes sense, right? I mean, I was so worried about messing up the order or not doing them correctly, especially when it comes to the sleeves. Because not only do the sleeves have to match each other, they should probably match the fade in the same way. So since they're not easy to tell, I mean, they aren't. So I have, this is a color, and then this is a color. See, that's white right there. So I have a corresponding white one right up here. And in my head, at least, it made sense. So for the stripy unicorn, I am hoping that I can get my ribbing all set and done and start on the sleeves, which leads me to say that I am going to have 3 sweaters with sleeves that need to be done. You can't plan this better, can you? Sleeves take forever, right? And they're so boring. But in a way though, I think that's good. And these shouldn't be that bad because I'm going to be swapping a color every row. This pattern actually uses spin cycle, and I can definitely see the appeal of using like a spin cycle type yarn, a color changing yarn, something with slow and gradual color changes for this one. But I did not do that. I used an Advent, so. And I'm actually really happy I did use the Advent because I had it, and so I was using yarn that I had in stash, and it gives me a good idea of how the Seaglass cardigan that I want to use out of this Advent could possibly look like. It's so soft. But that is my stripy unicorn. Oh, sorry. My like chair keeps going back and forth and my legs just aren't strong enough to kind of keep me stable here. So if you ever see me going off to the side, that's why. It's because it is what it is. So the last time you guys saw this, I had just steeked it. So what did I do this week? This week I picked up and I knit the short rows on this sleeve and on this sleeve. And I did that because now all I have to do is knit straight. Well, I can't say that because it's not technically knitting straight. It's more like knitting and decreasing. But it's just stockinette with some decreases, which I figure I can do any old time. But also, I knit the band, the button band, and I'm very happy with it. It needs to be blacked, but I'm really happy that I picked such an awesome neutral color. This neutral color is Antique from Blackbird Sycamore yarn, and it is slowly becoming one of my favorites. I have more of it, and I'm very much thinking that I should do something else with it. So you will be seeing it again soon. But I do like the way that the Voyage is coming out, and you can see the back right there. And the steeking has held great, so fingers crossed that it continues to hold great. Last week, during the week, Amazon brought some 2-inch pink ribbing and some thread. So I am going to be sewing in the ribbon to hide the steeking, which I tacked down but still does not look very nice. So there will be hiding of that, but probably not until I'm done and blocked everything, because I don't want to sew in any ribbing until the stitches are all fine and relaxed. At least I'm pretty sure that makes sense to more than just me. You guys would do that too, right? Definitely don't stitch or sew anything in until it's blocked. Because if I sewed that ribbing in and then I blocked it, the ribbing doesn't have enough give to move with the stitches. Okay, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I can't wait to wear this. And it's so soft. I loved working with these minis. So you're going to be seeing at least 2 more mini projects in my future. One is the Seaglass cardigan, which is going to follow a process very similar to this. I am going to be basically working the Seaglass up just like the Voyage, basically working the Voyage with the Seaglass color pattern color, it's just 1x1 color work. So basically this, but with 1x1 color work. And then I am going to steek it because I don't want to deal with the ends. I know that with the Seaglass cardigan pattern, they show a way that you can do like an I-cord and braid your ends or whatever. I'm sure that it looks great, but I know me, and I know that I will not do that. I will get so frustrated if I have to weave in ends from that many color changes, and it will just be so overwhelming that I think that this approach will work a lot better. Especially because I will more than likely still have some of that pink ribbon, and I can just put the ribbon down and cover the ends that way. Ooh, I can't wait. So I'm going to try very hard to get some sleeves done this week. I don't even know. What sleeves should I work on first? So whenever I look at things I have to do for work and I have like a bunch of tasks, I try to pick the easiest things first, right? So like, what can I get done first? So I'm trying to think of what would get done first. And part of me wants to say that maybe the stripy unicorn would, but I don't think it will. I think it's the Voyage cardigan, because the stripy unicorn has the color changes every other row, and that's gonna slow the sleeves down. So I think I will focus on the Voyage cardigan next week, and you guys might not see the other sweaters as much. But don't hold me to it because I have no clue. I won't know what I am knitting until I actually sit down and decide, hey, I want to knit it. Okay, like I said, if you guys have stuck around this long, thumbs up. I'm so happy that you're still here. I know that I've been like scatterbrained this episode. I feel like it's been a very scatterbrained week with everything going on. I've got some patterns to show you. Okay, so this first one is called Meant to Be, and it is from Vanessa Smith. Now, I am signed up for her newsletter because she has some of the most amazing, beautiful, cabled garments ever, and I love them. And when this came in the newsletter that I get from her, I squealed. I don't know how else to explain it. I was so excited because it's so pretty. And when you go to her pattern page, and I'm putting up all the information, when you go to her pattern page, the sample that she knit, I believe it's in teal feather. Almost positive, because I was reading her introduction and she said that teal feather was the perfect color for this, and I'm like, yes it is. If you guys aren't familiar with Malabrigo colors, the teal feather, it's so pretty. Okay, this is Meant to Be. So I am showing you that, but this is knit with yarn held together. It says it's knit with DK and lace, but it says that it's DK, the yarn weight. So you could definitely knit it with a DK weight yarn. If you hear the cat meowing, she's perfectly fine. Sometimes she just walks around and meows. She is a senior cat. She's 18 years old. But I'm sorry. So what was I saying? The cat distracted me. So anyway, here's a side note. We have 3 cats. 2 18-year-old cats and 1 cat that we got during COVID. So she's about 4.5-ish. So our 18-year-old cats are so sweet. We have 1 male who's like the biggest, sweetest, cuddle bug. And then we have a very spicy female cat, and she's very demanding, and she has the funniest personality. So whenever we replaced our carpet a year, whenever ago, we had these people come in to replace the carpet, and our cats, the 4-year-old and the 18-year-old male, were like hiding in our bedroom, trying to like wedge themselves in the smallest space possible because they were scared of everybody in the house trying to replace the carpet. Well, our 18-year-old female cat walked up to one of the contractors, looks at them, and just meows because she wants this person who she's never met to pet her. So she is very demanding. I love it. Anyways, like I said, I've been so spaced out lately. This is meant to be by Vanessa Smith. This is DK weight yarn, and the gauge is 20 stitches and 30 rows to 4 inches. This is a beautiful cabled sweater, and it has shaping in it. And if you are looking for a wonderful, not cardigan, pullover to make for like holidays, this is definitely a good one to pick. I actually bought this pattern because I'm very much looking forward to it. It's a V-neck, and I love V-necks, and I love cables. Now, the sizes available are 1 through 13, which is a finished bust circumference of 26.5 to 63.5 inches. So that is a great size range. But if you guys have never heard of Vanessa Smith as a designer, definitely check out her patterns. She has some beautiful, beautiful cabled patterns that I've definitely fallen in love with throughout the years. So, okay, I ran across this one because I am signed up. I'm signed up for a lot of newsletters, aren't I? So I am signed up for Barocco's newsletter, and they sent this one. This is actually a free Barocco yarn pattern, and this is Knit in Wizard. This is a top-down, trying to hide the kiddo's face. Okay, there we go. But this is a top-down free pattern for a kid's sweater, but the reason I'm showing you this is because it's a circular yoke. So it's different from Tin Can Knits, which is raglan. This is a circular yoke, and I thought that that was really cool. This Barocco Wizard is like one of the long color changing yarns, so it's really neat how it works up with stripes. And I thought that it was cool to mention just because whenever I'm looking for specific patterns, it's good to have different sweater constructions in my like tool bag for different sizes. So this is a good one for a circular yoke for kids. And it's free, which is even more cool. It says that it's a seamless top-down sweater. I have never used Barocco Wizard, but the gauge in it says the gauge in this sweater is 18 stitches and 26 rounds is 4 inches. I thought that was really cool. So I wanted to share it with you guys really quick. Okay, this is another one of those patterns that I geeked out on, and I'm putting up pictures just so that you guys see why I had to get this pattern as well. So this one is actually on sale until October 11th, and there's no code needed. So if you guys like this pattern as much as I did, I would definitely go check it out. Now, I saw this pattern and I was like, oh, hey, think about all of the really cool things I could do with this with minis. Like these minis, right? I'm going to have extra minis from the Voyage. I'm going to have extra minis from the Stripy Unicorn. Just extra minis everywhere. So this is called Villa Marie, and this is by Jennifer Beale. So the suggested yarn in this is actually Jamieson and Smith 2-ply jumper weight. So it's a fingering weight sweater, which is a bonus for me because I really love knitting and fingering weight. But look at these. I love this pattern. Everything about this pattern. It's got this super cool color work on the front of the sweater and on the sleeves. And it just looks so cute. I don't know how else to explain it. It's eclectic. You could do anything you want with the colors. So it says all 8 colors of the Jamieson and Smith 2024 color box inspired this sweater. The color combination was immediate love at first sight, producing an equally love at first sight sweater. I hope it brings you fun and just as much love. Villa Marie is knit sideways with a steek at the hem and neck, and decreases and increases shape the neck and shoulders. The sleeves are worked down to the cuffs. The cuffs and hem are finished with an interesting corrugated ribbing and garter combination rimmed with applied I-cord bind off. The neckline is a folded picot band with Fair Isle facing. Oh, this is so pretty though, guys. And it's steeking too, which is going to be another good way to kind of practice and refine these skills. So the pictures that I'm showing up on the screen, do you guys like the colors as much as I do? Because I think that that was the first thing that popped out to me about this pattern. Just the colors that were picked for it. And I guess it's all 8 colors of the Jamieson and Smith 2024 color box. So I don't know what that is, but whatever colors that the colors that they picked for it, they did an awesome job. It speaks to me very much. So it says that the sizes available are 1 through 7. Finished bust circumference is 91 to 163 centimeters. So that's 35.75 to 64.25 inches. It says it's intended to be worn with 5 to 12 centimeters of positive ease at hem. Oh, and it's knit sideways and there's lace on it too. You can see lace like on the shoulder and where the color work isn't. So this is definitely something that's coming very soon here. It does say that you need Kitchener, which I'm okay at. I am okay at it. The only trouble that I have with Kitchener stitch is whenever I'm trying to do it for a long stretch, it's hard to keep my gauge matching. So whenever I did my Radvent cardigan and you have to Kitchener up the 2 sides of it, it's hard to kind of keep the tension even to where you can't automatically tell that something's kind of weird there. If I'm just Kitchenering a couple of stitches, then it's fine. But anyways, I do love this pattern and I was so happy to run across it. It says, I believe it came out like last week maybe. It says new release promo, 25% off automatically added at checkout until October 11th. No code needed. So I'm so excited about that one. I'm gonna be like, I have totally been feeling color work lately. I don't know, have you guys been feeling like just doing all the color work, all the things? Because that's definitely been me. I have been noticing color work patterns. I have been noticing even cowls. And like, I don't really wear cowls. At least not the short ones. If I wear a cowl, it's going to be like one of the long ones. maybe I should make like a long color work cowl. I'm getting so distracted. Okay, so if you guys know me, you know that you knew that this one was coming if you knew that it came out this week. So this is the Cake Pop sweater by Locatelli. And this is a pretty feather and fan sweater. And it is yarn, so you're holding two yarns together, fingering and fingering, and it says on the Ravelry page that it's worsted. So I thought about that for a little bit, and what I'm thinking is that since this sweater is a feather and fan, it's actually taking into consideration the gauge on the lace, which means that, I mean, you're not knitting with a worsted weight yarn. It's just the yarn just happens to be knit at a worsted gauge. But it's very pretty. And what types of yarn does she use here? It says it's a circular yoke. It features an easy feather and fan lace, and it is perfect for new sweater knitters, but also quick and fun for more experienced ones. So the bust circumference is 28 3/4 to 66 3/4 inches. And the yardage you need is 810 to 1700 yards. So it's a Locatelli pattern, and she's usually pretty good about being really size inclusive. And it says the yarn she's using is Lamb and Kid Trio. So it's fingering. It looks like an MCN. It's 70% merino, 20% cashmere goat, and 10% nylon. Oh wow, 10% nylon, 20% cashmere, and 70% merino. Is that typical for an MCN? For some reason, I always thought it was less cashmere than that. I can't remember. And the second yarn, the yarn that she holds it with, is Birdie by Diamond Lane. It says it's a lace weight yarn. It's 74% alpaca and 26% silk. So this is definitely a cute pattern. I don't see myself knitting it though, and I'm going to tell you why. I just am not feeling like I want to knit a lace pattern right now, like an all over lace pattern. I've been so excited about color work that I'm just gonna concentrate on color work right now, and then I'll do this when I'm feeling more like knitting lace. So it's definitely out there though for whenever I do change my mind. Okay, so I have one more sweater, and this one has like a whole story, well, kind of a whole story to it. So once again, and I should probably once again, I was looking through my emails, and I'm signed up for Web's emails, and they sent this email this past week where they were talking about paint box yarns, and there was a link inside the email, and it said click here for free patterns. So I'm like, what does that mean? So I clicked on the link, because of course I clicked on the link, and I am greeted by oodles of free patterns on Web's website. So I'm like, oh wow, this is awesome. So I started looking through all of them, and they have like a ton of different patterns. I saw some really cute ones. Now I'm only gonna show you one, but I am going to put a link in right here where it's going to take you to Web's website with all of the Paint Box yarn patterns. Basically the link they gave me in the email. So if you are interested in looking at the Paint Box yarn free patterns, well, the link's up. Okay, so they have some cute patterns. They have some amigurumi, like succulents and cactuses, and I was so excited about those because they're super cute. They have some really pretty blankets. They have some really, like, they have this one striped sweater that I really liked. I decided to show you guys this one. So this is called the Pixelated Sweater, and this is Paint Box Yarns. So it is knit with Aran weight, and as soon as I show you that, guys, this, you're going to understand why I picked it. I am a big fan of asymmetrical sweaters. I am a big fan of just asymmetrical colors. And when I saw this, it made me very happy. I have never seen like a granny square pattern where like half the granny square is like stripes. I'm not explaining this right, but you guys can see the pictures. So half the square is like lined with a stripe, and then the other half doesn't have it at all. So I thought that was really nice. Now it says to fit chest 71 centimeters to 147 centimeters. The crochet terminology is US, and the languages is English. And I actually printed this out from Ravelry because I tried to print it out from the website, the Web's website, and it was not very printer friendly. So I printed it out from Ravelry, but the link will take you to Web's website. It says that the yarn weight is Aran, and the gauge is 15 stitches in 8 rows equals 4 inches in double crochet. And you're supposed to use a 5mm hook, which is a size H. It uses Cotton Aran by Paint Box Yarns. So it's 100% cotton, but you can use any type of Aran weight yarn. And it really looks like the entire body is constructed from these squares. So here I am thinking, how can I figure out how to make those squares and use them on other things too? So anyways, that was definitely something that caught my eye this week. I was so happy to see it. Okay, I think that's it for the patterns. Was that enough? Like I said, everybody has like released patterns. I think what's going on is that since, you know, it's October and here in our hemisphere at least, it's getting to be sweater weather, and everybody's trying to get their sweater patterns out because, you know, now's the time people want to start knitting them. So I don't mind. I love seeing them. It makes me super happy. Okay, guys, thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it. I'm glad that you're here, and if you could, please give this video a thumbs up or hit the subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. I will see you guys next week, and if I drew your name earlier, please reach out to me either on Instagram or Ravelry as Mandy Von Knits. Oh, and one more thing. I stopped sharing the books that I read, but I'm going to put my Goodreads name down below. So if you want to, just friend me on Goodreads and you can see what I'm reading. It's nothing super interesting. I read all sorts of different things, but mainly like thrillers and horror books. So, okay guys, thank you so much. I will see you next week. Bye.